Hi, this is Adriana Edwards, and welcome to Get Connected, a podcast where we talk about love with average people in an interesting and fun way. Today's topic is about relationships, the pressure that comes to try and get one, or just the pressure to be in one. During this generation, relationships seem really important for status, popularity, friends. Why do we feel this way? Is it normal? The Charter Online states that a majority of teens feel expected to be in a relationship during their high school years, even though most teens don't date. So let's open our hearts and get connected. But first, let's get to know our guests. To start things off first, one of my guests is a teacher administrator and the rest are student freshmen. My teacher guest is Miss Gestel. My student guests are Maddie Newton, John Mulholland, Rebecca Roberts, Braden Rayner, and Chase Mezerkowitz. To understand where my guests are, I asked my guests their involvement in relationships, whether it's now or in the past. Let's hear them share their experiences.
Like none.
I've had one. It was like a 7th grade relationship, so it wasn't much at all. I'm in a kind of relationship at the moment, and I have been in one over the summer before this year.
Once, 6th grade, like a day. Once last summer, but it was just like a week.
What about that 6th grader?
Like 6th grade, I dated the 6th grader. It wasn't that fun.
I'm currently married. Prior to being married, that's 23 years ago. I met my husband in college, so we've been together since we were 19. And prior to that, I had one really long-term relationship in high school, and just kind of random dating like most high school students prior to that.
Yeah. Relationships seem important to everyone, adults, teenagers, even children. So let's hear my guests explain why people think relationships are so important, especially being in high school.
I feel like some of it has to do with hormones, and I'm not going to blame everything on hormones, but as you get older, you start to see that. I think it's also just having connections with others. Most people don't want to be lonely, they want to find someone who understands them, and then sometimes it just happens romantically, and that's how things play out.
And Maddie's not wrong. Even though hormones don't play a role in everything, it plays a role in this. According to June.com, it says, all those new hormones definitely contribute to teens' new interest in romantic relationships. It also says that hormones help explain why first romantic relationships feel so intense to teens, and also why they can be particularly distracted when in love.
So I just kind of think that people are maturing and they're seeing others together around them, as well as other students, and they're like, hey, well, I don't really want to do this alone, go through high school alone. They want to have someone that they could spend time with, hang out with, go just learn things with, I guess. And I think that's mostly why. Yeah.
Someone to talk with. And play video games with. I don't know.
Someone who shares your interests.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably because you just want someone to be there to connect with, I guess.
Yeah, just another person to help you out with whatever you deal with.
Yeah. What about you?
Building a life with someone and sharing your life with someone is probably one of the best things you can do in this world. It makes everything else more meaningful. And so in my world, I think the more you can connect with people and be part of something, whether it's a relationship or even friendship, it makes your life seem more full.
I mean, common interest is everything almost, right? Kind of have a...
Also, when you don't feel the happiest, you think that having a partner is going to make you happier and feel like when you feel like you're missing something from your life, you go and look for a partner sometimes in high school, and it can end in bad ways, good ways, long term, short term.
Yeah, this may be skipping ahead a little, but there is definitely some pressure in high school, especially when you get into like 9th grade or even middle school, to have a relationship. Like Becca said earlier, the whole you see people around you, like it's just all this influence from your everyday life.
Relationships are really nice. They have a lot of good to them, they have a lot of value to them. But in relationships, there are sometimes the bad. So let's hear from my guest what the biggest issues in relationships could be right now.
Specifically in high school and when you're younger, a lot of it is like beliefs and also poor communication skills, because communication is something that is needed in any relationship, whether it's friendship or romantic or even with your parents. So a lot of times high schoolers who are more immature and they just haven't hit that space of brain development yet, they just don't communicate effectively, and that ultimately leads to the disintegration of a bunch of relationships just anywhere.
I feel like you need to give each other some space in relationships, and that's part of it, spending too much time together. Because if you're always talking and always communicating, it tends to like lead to more fights because you're actually communicating too much. Sometimes it can be too little as well. But when you're communicating too much, it's just like you start to get mad at each other and upset with each other over the littlest things, and it just leads to like an outbreak of fights and just the relationship falling apart. You're not happy with each other anymore.
The arguments and the fights and like being too close to one another, I guess. That's basically what she said.
I would say that it comes down to, you have to, if you want a relationship to work, it has to be not because of what you want, it's because you want to make someone else happy. And so and that in itself makes you feel good. And so if you can find that person that you just enjoy making happy, and then it's not because you want them to do something for you, it's just because you figure out that I like seeing this person smile. It makes me feel good to make them smile. And then it kind of starts to become a give and take, that you both enjoy making each other happy and having those shared experiences. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, but you said kind of to go like both ways, that if you make someone else want to try to also do it with you though too. But then maybe like problems that could happen is like bad communications, bad communication, I think.
I mean, I feel like during this time now, I feel like maybe most people get in relationships for them because like they want to make themselves feel better, and they like want all this attention from other people.
I feel like a big issue is one, the relationship for you, not you and the other person that's in the relationship.
Some of that comes with growing up. Like when you start a relationship, I would say, yeah, it absolutely is what you want. I want this to happen. I think as the relationship matures, that starts shifting. That you want to make both of you happy. And you just want to be part of each other's lives. Yeah.
No matter what age you are, it's normal for people to look up to and rely on relationships, whether it's their parents, celebrities, relationships in a movie, whatever. Let's see what relationships my guests look up to.
A relationship? I don't really know any like celebrities with like relationships.
It could also just be someone, a couple you know that you think of as having a good relationship.
Probably my parents. They have a pretty good relationship, and they're always talking about stuff, and they always help each other out when they need it.
Yeah, I would say my parents as well, because there are definitely times where I've seen fights, and they're never really aggressive, but like it's just a good reminder that there are going to be fights and arguments, but what's important is they get over it, and they talk to each other, and they work through it, and they still love each other just as much, so it's really something that I look up to. And then there's also this couple who I know who goes to this school who are always, they just they're always so open with each other, and it's just amazing to see.
I'd say my aunt and uncle, because like they're always there for each other through like their highest and their lowest. Like no matter how low like they are at some point, they're always going to be there for each other and comfort each other, still talk to each other, not give up on each other.
Probably my parents, because like they're always nice to each other and they like don't fight, but when they do, it's small, and then they hang out with each other, I guess.
I'll say that being a kid whose parents were divorced made me wonder if I could ever have a real relationship. It did make me wonder if, do I know how to have a real relationship? And then I kind of saw my grandparents, because we were with them a lot, and I registered all these little things that I remember thinking to myself, that's what I want when I get old. Because I can remember my grandfather would work a night shift and leave a note to my grandmother on the table just saying, got in at 3, thanks for the dinner, see you later, me. And, and then like a little heart. And I was like, that was just the sweetest little thing. Like, they were 55 and 60 years old, and this is what they were, like, when they didn't get to see each other, they made sure they were finding a way to communicate. And I thought it was really sweet.
She said our parents are also divorced. I can't really look up at them, so probably Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Why?
I don't know, I like football. Travis Kelce plays football, so that's pretty cool.
Is there like any qualities in their
I don't
relationship?
really know too much about them, so I guess another one would be my grandparents, because they have good communication. Well, was good, now one of them's dead, but good communication.
Communication is really important in a relationship. And with communication, there's also talking about boundaries with your partner.
There's also boundaries. So I guess that plays into communication as well, but having this boundary, knowing when enough is enough and knowing when you can't cross this is what I'm going to say on this. You have to respect it. We respect each other, and so the basis of the relationship is respect within those boundaries. So I see it all the time. My mom's a therapist. She talks about it all the time, and it's just, I find it very important.
I feel like boundaries are also important because in high school you don't really like set that many boundaries, and if the other person does cross the boundaries, you might not want to like break up the relationship because you think it might hurt you too much.
It's a mature statement to recognize that that's possible. And so it's impressive to hear you guys talk about relationships like that. I'm just gonna say, when you guys said that, it sounds like kindness and communication is really important. It is, but I think it's also really easy to be the thing that you mess up on the most. Maybe you don't want to say something because you're afraid of hurting someone, or you're afraid of what's going to happen if I say that, what are they going to think, which that's typical. So it's just something, you have to learn how to take a moment and breathe, because you might want to say something nasty, and you take a deep breath and back up and go, I don't want to ruin this relationship, so how do I say what my boundary is without completely destroying the trust we have between us?
And also, like, parents also pointed it out. Like, they can try and get in your relationship, and, like, different parents have different rules in a way. So, like, some could be really strict, some could be, like, careless, and, like, they could just not know how to set up those boundaries. Sometimes they're forced to set up boundaries. And, like, I don't know, sometimes they can, like, control their child, too. And that depends, like, on how loyal the relationship will be. Like, if the guy or the girl will, like, stick with each other throughout, like, their parents or people in their life that'll be trying to, like, tear them apart in a way.
I think that could be, like, added to an issue in, like, relationships. I mean, because parents can possibly, like, break apart a relationship of, like, how they're, like, controlling their kid. But, like, maybe also because, like, some kids don't have their parents, like, their parents don't pay any attention to them, and maybe the kid wants help, but they don't have their parents there for them, so they make the wrong decisions. Just a fun fact, right now there's something going around in college called Ring Before Spring. It's where girls in college think that they need to get engaged before graduation, which is in the spring. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? Let's hear what my guest had to say about that.
There was a joke that girls, let's go back to like 1950s, 1960s, when they were going to college, that they were pursuing their MRS degree
What's that?
with Mrs. becoming Mrs. And so the same idea as Ring Before Spring, that the reason to go to college was to find a husband. Do you think that's still the case?
Unfortunately, I feel like some of it's still the case. I remember reading, I can't remember what book it was, or I was looking into a case or something. I can't remember what I was doing, but I do remember hearing that, and I talked to my mom about it, and she was like, yeah, it's actually a thing. People go to college just because their parents, like, it was specifically this girl's parents were saying, well, you're not going to go to college to be, like, smart and get your degree. You're going to college to get your man, and that's the only reason I'm sending you to college or paying for your college. So a lot of that is also parents, I feel like, unfortunately, because some parents are more old-fashioned, or it's more seen in grandparents, but, like, just in general, I think it is still seen today, just not as extreme in some cases.
Well, because the girls have been talking about this boys, how do you feel about that statement?
I feel like just because like some girls want to get married at a young age doesn't mean you have to put like a thought in their head that they have to get married. Like some people just want to get married, just not everyone wants to.
Yeah, I think it's more of a thought you need to, not the fact that they just like want to. You don't need to. It's a choice if you want to or not.
You should go to college to learn, not for to get married.
Like a timeline that's like kind of getting messed up that parents or someone else could be setting. Like the timeline, I feel like there's not a specific order. I mean, there is some order, but there shouldn't be like a specifically set order in your life on getting married.
And I feel like that's being pushed further and closer the more with the more social media expands, because there is a lot of like kids nowadays, like this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but kids nowadays are doing so much things earlier in life. So that's that whole I gotta get married earlier, because as the timeline gets closer and pushes not farther away, pushes closer, we see more of that happening.
But like, I'm not sure if anyone else feels this way, but I feel like finding someone to be in a relationship is kind of hard because like everyone's just so judgmental, and like this won't give others a chance unless like you have a good status or whatever, or good looks. I mean, looks aren't everything. Let's be honest.
Welcome to high school.
Yeah.
Life changes. People mature and start to, some of you are already maturing and see that. Life changes. High school is a microcosm of the world. It's one of the few times in your life you're surrounded by everyone who's the same age as you. High school and college. After that, you're around all different people of all different ages, and that perspective will shift. And then it's about, oh, I was out playing, I joined this flag football team, or, oh, I play ultimate frisbee on the weekends and I met this person, and it's not necessarily you're the same age or anything else. It's like, oh, we had fun doing this together, and we start to find out, we talk to each other, and we get to know each other. And I think that right now you're in high school, and you're right, that's that first glance of, hey, this is how they look, or this is what their status is, or whatever. I think learning how to get to that next stage is coming for you guys.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next time on Get Connected. See you soon.